Richard Madeley and Judy Finnigan are famed for being one of the longest and strongest couples in showbiz. The journalist duo first crossed paths in a newsroom back in 1982 when Judy was asked to mentor a young Richard, and now they have 37 years of wedded wisdom under their belt. They went on to become the beloved hosts of This Morning, keeping audiences hooked with their devotion and sometimes clear annoyance with each other. Good Morning Britain host Richard, 67, and TV presenter Judy, 75, still appear as loved up as ever, but behind the scenes, the road has been a hard one. From their love affair to the health issues that hit Judy in later life, here the Mirror takes a look. They first met in work when Richard joined Granada to present alongside Tony Wilson and Judy, who at 8 years his senior was the more experienced journalist. I remember the first time I saw him. He walked into the newsroom and I was sitting at my desk at the other end, Judy recalled of their fateful first meeting. I remember exactly what he was wearing, a pale blue linen suit. I thought he looked nice. Tall, handsome and all that, but I thought the suit was a bit flash. Then, because he was a newbie, I was assigned the job of looking after him, she told the Mirror. Their very first exchange has become the stuff of legends. I was sitting at my desk when this hand appeared on my shoulder and I looked up at this face and Judy said, "Hi, I'm your mummy," and I thought, what? Revealed Richard. At Granada, when someone new arrived, someone was appointed as their dad or their mum to show them round, the canteen, the toilets and all that. So Judy was my mum. The attraction was obvious, but Judy was married to journalist David Henshaw and Richard was in the process of splitting from first wife Linda. One night they went out for dinner and their affair began, although both have insisted it was much more than a sordid office affair. Colleagues at Granada thought it was frivolous, but it wasn't anything of the kind. It was actually very painful because we were very much in love, but it was very difficult, Richard recalled. From their third date he knew he wanted to marry Judy, but at 26, she feared he wasn't ready to be a stepfather to her then 6-year-old twins Dan and Tom. I had to be absolutely convinced that Richard was mature enough and sure enough of his own mind that my boys weren't going to be hurt, she said. When we first got together I remember my mother said to him, "If you hurt those boys they'll never forgive you." Judy, then 34, called things off, prompting a devastated Richard to retreat to Greece for 2 weeks in the summer of 1984 armed with a bag of step-parenting books to do some soul-searching. "I knew Dan and Tom really well and they were smashing, they were terribly sweet, so I took it very seriously. In the end, I knew of course that I could do it, I wanted to do it," he said. It took Judy a year to make her mind up, though. Richard was over the moon when she finally did make her choice, and it was him. The first thing they did as a couple was take the twins to Cornwall for a week, with the county becoming so special to them that they would end up living there years later. But sadly their bliss soon turned to tragedy when Judy's first pregnancy ended in a miscarriage and she was forced to deliver their child. Opening up about the devastating loss for 2018 Channel 4 documentary Child of Mine, Richard recalled how they went for a routine scan at 16 weeks, only to be told their baby had passed away. He recalled, "It was utterly devastating, no warning, no earlier, gentle, indication of the possibility of catastrophe. Our baby had just died. And he was still in Judy's womb. She was kept in hospital overnight for a second scan just to make absolutely sure and was then put into an induced labor. My heart broke for her as I waited outside the delivery room. What a dreadful experience, to go through the motions of childbirth, knowing what the grim outcome would be. Once the couple had recovered, their boy Jack arrived in 1986, and just as Judy was about to return from maternity leave, she found out she was expecting their daughter Chloe. A hormonal imbalance then sparked postnatal depression, and after years of gynecological problems she was forced to have a hysterectomy in 1998. She feared it would destroy her famous sexual bond with Richard. But in fact, the hormone replacement therapy she was put on did quite the opposite, so much so that they had to sleep in separate beds while she healed from the surgery. In 1988, they took up a job on a show that would change their lives forever, ITV's This Morning. With their journalistic backgrounds and natural chemistry, they revived the daytime show and quickly became the nation's favorites. But their rise in popularity also triggered a rise in false and cruel gossip, the worst being that Judy was an alcoholic and Richard was a violent drunk. "We'd gone away for a week to Cornwall with our children, and the mobile went in the car," Richard told The Guardian of hearing the hurtful rumors. "It was our bosses at Granada saying a terrible rumor was being put around that you're in a self-help institution for men who batter their wives because you've beaten Judy, that Judy's in a drying out clinic and that the children are in care. We were in the F-King car," he said. "We tracked it to the source. A particularly poisonous person had leaked these smears and they were never published because we would have cleaned up in a libel case. But the one thing that lingered like a piece of floating sewage is this thing that Judy drinks. And she does it. Of course, the couple's marriage has also been filled with joy, and a whole lot of red-hot chemistry." Often compared to Alan Partridge for his verbal faux pas, Richard is as famous for his Ali G impression as he is his sexual overshares. From their adventures with Viagra to his appreciation of Judy's form, he hilariously has never known quite when to stop. But Terry's no shame in his game. Speaking to the Mirror, he said, "I think relationships can evolve to a point in old age where sex becomes less important, but I am 58, not 98. In most dynamic marriages, sex is a very important component. You can deny that at your peril. One of the reasons that most marriages fail is because there is a growing sexual incompatibility. It has to be an important part of the equation. Research shows most happily married people in their 70s and 80s still have a functioning sex life, and so they should. It's one of the most fundamental aspects of humanity. Both admit theirs is a jealous, passionate relationship. I think it's incredible that I've been fortunate enough to meet the woman I love. I know happy marriages come in different shapes and guises, but I like the fact we're both possessive of one another," he told the Mirror. "If Judy or I were to have an affair, it would be the end. I just can't bear to think of it," she agreed. "We both think the other is the most precious thing in the world. A good marriage is a blessing."